Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the continued celebration of CS Ed Week. I'm Amanda McCammon with STEM Synergy and Keep Indiana Learning. We've been live all week long, bringing computer science experts and resources to our Indiana educators as part of the In Learning Partnership, which is a collaboration with the Department of Education, the Learning Lab, and Keep Indiana Learning. So now for our 2:30 session today, I would like to welcome our speakers, Cass Fernandez and Sherry Gick. Cass is a program manager with CS First with Google, and the director of professional learning from 5-Star Technology is Sherry Gick. So I will turn this over to you, ladies.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. Cass, it's so good to see you.
You too, Sherry. Oh, I love your background, as I was just telling you.
Oh, thanks so much.
It totally looks like it's a fake virtual background. It's too good.
So much fun. Well, as I was thinking about having this conversation with you, I'm super excited because, we've had the opportunity to do conferences and things together, but you know what? I've never really learned about your backstory. And so some of the things that I'm hoping other people are curious about as well. So your job title is program manager, right? You're program manager for Google CS First. And so do you have a story about your first experience with coding? Is that something you were exposed to? Like, when did that happen? In school, elementary, as far as like, what does that look like for you? I want to hear your origin story.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So I'm from San Diego, and when I was probably in 6th grade, at our local mall, Fashion Valley Mall Apple store, there was a coding camp that was a couple days during the summer that my brother and I went to. And I remember thinking it was just so magical and cool. We made a website and did some like HTML stuff, which was just so fascinating to me. But there wasn't much follow-up to that. And we didn't have a computer at home, so I didn't see CS again at all until college, when I took my first intro to, it was an intro to Java course that I took when I was in college. That was my next CS experience.
Oh, I love that though, as far as like being exposed, but then, still having that love later on that you wanted to give it a try again in college. So that's cool. I wonder, as far as you talk about your college experience and your first coding course there with Java, what led you to work with Google? I mean, like the ultimate technology company. What led you there, and then the CS First team?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I think about college, I just remember like trying to choose courses and being so confused and overwhelmed, very undecided in my major. And I'm a first-gen college student too, so I didn't feel like I had a ton of people to talk to necessarily about like, how are you supposed to do this? What are the right choices? And so I ended up just choosing classes those first couple of years that sounded interesting to me, not necessarily classes that would, contribute perfectly to a job someday. It wasn't like I was following, a path to grad school or anything like that. It was just, these classes sound cool. I want to learn this stuff. And so that brought me to a lot of CS classes, business classes, and kind of government and policy classes as well. So without kind of knowing it, that was a pretty good foundation for working in a lot of different areas, and especially in tech. This was around my sophomore year. I started to hear more about big tech companies and roles within them, but I didn't feel totally confident that I had the experience yet or background. And so I still was just kind of trying to get exposure in different areas. I did a lot of different internships, some related to kind of government, some in some startups, and I did research as well. So finally, by the end of my junior year, I had a friend who was applying to intern at Google over the summer, which I again like didn't. It was kind of a shot in the dark. I didn't think I was, the perfect candidate, but applied and ended up getting an interview. And the interviews, I just really connected with my interviewers. One of my interviewers ended up being a future manager. And so I interned at Google in Mountain View, the headquarters, after my junior year, which was just such an amazing experience. They really set you up with mentors and just end-to-end projects so you can feel confident in your skills and like you're really contributing to a part of the company. And then after that internship, I got an offer for a full-time role after graduation. And I've worked on the CS First team ever since then.
So you've always at Google, you've always been part of the CS First team. I know, as you know, we talk to different people, and a lot of times you start one place and end up in another. So you've always been on the CS First team. Again, I'm learning so many things about you.
Mm-hmm.
And I love your college experience, right? As far as like, because it sounds like you were following your heart, right? You were following things that you were interested in, but they did all connect together, and that's magical. I don't know that we're all always that successful, right? Taking different classes.
Yeah, me neither.
It worked out in your favor. It definitely sounds like, for sure. So if you've always been a part of the CS First team and you interned at Google and went straight to Google as your first job out of college, right?
Mm-hmm.
So probably don't have a really anything to compare it to because of that, but still, can you talk to us a little bit about, being a woman in technology and at Google and what that looks like?
Definitely. Yeah. And first, so my internship, that was on a different team that was working kind of parallel on things that were similar to CS First. But if any of my teammates are watching, just calling that out, I was on a different team. And as far as being a woman in tech, so I had in college interned in other areas, some like nonprofit work, which was a ton of women. And so when I came into Google, my internship class was pretty evenly divided in terms of gender, and they do a really good job of setting you up with strong mentors. So since I started, I've had just very strong female mentors to run ideas past or, vent to. And so I definitely felt that there were support systems in place. And then my part of the company as well, it's the gender distribution is pretty balanced. There are a lot of women working on our education programs. So for me, my experience has been very positive. I don't feel, alone as a woman in tech, but I do have friends who are software engineers and in more technical roles. And I've heard, of course, about challenges of being the only woman on a team and really feeling like when you're speaking in a meeting, you're speaking on behalf of all women, which is super tough, of course. But there are also employee resource groups that I'm a part of. So I guess all of that to say, yes, there are parts of Google where you're going to maybe feel more the fact that you're a woman in the space. But there's a lot of support that I've had. So for me, there hasn't been any big moment of like, surprise or feeling out of place, which is good. And I think the more, women that keep getting involved in tech, women and girls, the more we're going to lean in the direction of the experience I had versus maybe some of the more, the less pleasant stories we've all heard.
Absolutely. I love the support systems that you're talking about that are in place. And I know that's a lot of what we encourage in education as well, right? As you talk about getting more women into technology, more girls coding and things like that, how important that is that we continue to support them, right? And so they don't have that gap like you did from sixth grade until college, right? That they continue to have those experiences and grow and really feel supported to dive into awesome careers like you have. So speaking of that, now that we've heard a little bit about your origin story, your background, and working at Google, I'd love for us to share a little bit about your your team, right? As far as like, let's talk about your program manager for CS First. And so I'd love to kind of dive into that and let you talk to us a little bit more about that for those that are joining us that maybe aren't familiar with CS First. Feel free to join, check out, or as far as I think we're going to share a screen and kind of walk you through a little bit, but you can get to that. Our short link is g.co/CS First is a great way to get there. And here we are live. So Cass, what can you tell us about CS First? What's kind of your elevator pitch when you tell someone about what you do and why this is such an amazing program?
Sure. Yeah. So as you said, it's a free computer science curriculum targeted to, we say, roughly 4th through 8th grade students. It's video based, which was designed as a video based curriculum pretty intentionally so that teachers didn't have to have a strong or any background in CS to teach with CS First, right? The lessons can be pretty self-guided by students, and there are just a ton of different lessons in different subject areas. So the idea is there's something for every student, right? We're really about computer science education access for all students. And then how we know each other is our professional development program, which again is just trying to lower those barriers to entry for all teachers to feel comfortable, confident teaching computer science. So we run some free professional development workshops that you can find on our website as well. Yes, we use Scratch, block-based coding. I should have mentioned that first. That's like the most important thing. And so it's just, a really good introduction to computer science for students. And Sherry, because you work with our teachers all the time in our PD workshops, I'm also going to pass this back to you a little bit and say, like, what do you think people need to know about CS First when they're first starting out?
Well, I do love this main page, right? As far as like, I think this immediately tells you these are the 3 main talking points, right? As far as like, because a lot of teachers, me included, right, say, I didn't go to college for computer science. As far as like my background is special education, elementary education, library and instructional technology. None of that is computer science, right? And so, but you don't have to have that computer science experience for this. You said that word free, which is always magical in education as well. So I love that it's free, and it really is the hands-on. So I mean, I love those 3 aspects of it, and just the applications in the fact that I like it for creating, which is usually the angle that I love to talk about. As far as like, this isn't just for the computer classroom, right? As far as like whatever you're teaching, use CS First, because there's that jumping off point where you can have your students use it to create things. Don't make poster boards. Let's do some Scratch for CS First and create within this platform, and just really have lots of amazing Googlers as your guest presenters, as your guest teachers in your classroom, and learning alongside your students. That's really what I found with this program. When I was in the classroom, I was maybe one video ahead, or maybe just the same video as my students, learning with this. So I think that's what I love about it. And also, Cass, and you talked about professional development. We offer workshops and things like that to help teachers really dive in. If you don't have a chance to do that, I love this new update that your team has done. This video training under resources, where you have these videos that are just for teachers, right? What is it? How do I get started? And so I know I share these links quite frequently, as far as like, if you forget what we learned in the workshop, this is a great place to go back to it. Or if you weren't able to join, this is such a great place to kind of get the overall about the curriculum and how to get started, because that's the whole thing, right? As far as like, you shouldn't have to take a course for the next 6 weeks on how to use this. You should be able to watch a couple of videos, use it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'll add that we do have 3 more videos in that Get Started series that are coming out. Hopefully within the month they'll be up. So teachers, if you are interested and you like, an intro video series, keep your eyes on that.
And again, it's set up just like the students, right? So you're kind of going through what the teachers need to learn, but you have that whole student experience here with the same type of dashboard, the videos, the overall things, instructions and stuff. So I love that. So as we're talking about curriculum and resources, do you have a favorite? I mean, there's a lot of different 1 hour lessons, also hour of code people are celebrating this week and this month, subject specific ones. Is there one that really stands out that you point people to, or one that you've had a lot of fun behind the scenes, maybe doing your own coding with?
Mm-hmm. It's hard to choose one, so I'm going to cheat and choose two.
Oh,
One
okay.
hour-long lesson is Code Your Hero. I love Code Your Hero. It was actually our friends within Chicago Public Schools helped us design some of the sprites you'll see in that lesson, and it's just I've seen teachers use it in such creative ways, right? Because students are choosing a hero from their everyday life to code. So as far as like integrating this with other subjects, I've seen history teachers, code a hero from history, and or have their students do that. And so just the ways that this lesson can be used, and it all ends up making these like pretty inspiring projects. I've just loved seeing those. And then my other answer for our longer lessons, so the ones that you can break up over different class periods, is storytelling, which is a very popular one. Just again, like the creative applications of that lesson are so cool. And basically, students can code an interactive story. So just, yeah, I'm sure teachers, better than I do, like just imagine all the stories your students could tell and like the different directions that you as a teacher could take that lesson. It's just, yeah, they're so cool to see that end result of the project.
You're speaking to my librarian heart, right? As far as like everything is a story. And honestly, that's storytelling is my favorite as well, because you can relate it. It doesn't matter what you're teaching. There is a story behind it. And there's going to be a dialogue. Even as a math teacher, I could use this and have my characters have a dialogue about the word problem that's being solved, right? And they're discussing how they're solving it. The setting could be whatever you want, the premise. There's so many applications that could happen with that. And yes, Code Your Hero, I keep using it, right? As far as like, it's such a great go-to to use with participants, because it doesn't matter what they're teaching or even what level they're teaching. I also like there's a lot of nice kind of behind the scenes pre-planning that can go along with it. Like you said, as far as like, who's the hero going to be? What's the connection and such. So awesome. Um, I'm looking at our time. I want to make sure that we have the opportunity to talk just a little bit about some of Google's other programs as far as like Code with Google. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? And I'll see if I can't jump over to that site.
Yes, thanks, Sherry. I was also looking at the time and I'm so surprised that we're coming up so quickly on the end. So first, anyone watching, please definitely check out the website for this. So I think, Sherry, what is that? g.co/code with Google?
Code with Google. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Yes, because that will explain everything in way more depth than I could in these last few minutes. But so CS First, we talked about, that's our, 4th through 8th grade K-12 CS curriculum. There's also applied digital skills, which is a little bit like upper middle school, high school, and adult learners learning about just different technology skills. And there's a whole host of lessons on their website that I'd encourage you to check out. In addition, there's something called Grasshopper, which is a coding app that's more of an independent learner's path. And they go throughout JavaScript. Sherry, you're doing such a good job clicking along and all of this. Sorry, I'm talking through.
I love Grasshopper. I love that I can do this on my desktop now as well.
Yes, yeah, that's new. And yeah, the grasshopper little icon is so cute. And it's just, yeah, a really good introductory way to learn that text-based coding. So JavaScript, like I said, where CS First is that block-based coding.
And I know this is Grace, and it's Grace Hopper's birthday, so we have to be sure to mention that, right? Shout out there.
Shout out. That's awesome. And then a couple others that I'll just mention briefly. Code Next is another program that's designed to give high school students kind of that inspiration and build the skills so that they could study computer science in later in life. And I think about 50% of Code Next graduates end up studying computer science in college. And they have a virtual and actually an in-person option for New York City and Oakland-based students. So check out that site. That's called Code Next. And then CSSI on that right-hand side is the Computer Science Summer Institute, which is it's also, I think it's a 3 to 4 week intro to computer science for students who are about to be freshmen in college. And so that's just, again, trying to build that passion for technology, that interest and confidence in CS. So again, I know that was fast, so please head to the website or you could tweet me or Sherry if you have any questions too. I see that our Twitter handles are there. So
that's right. Cass, again, the 20 minutes flew by talking to you. Thanks so much for sharing with us all of these awesome things. We'll be sure and drop those links so that y'all can visit those sites. Thanks, Amanda, for having us.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Cass and Sherry. Such good information. So many resources. Free. Love that. Super cute. And your experiences, Cass, at Google and just across the whole CS spectrum that you've had are amazing. Thank you so much for what you do, and Sherry for what you do at 5-Star Technology. On behalf of Keep In Learning and the In Learning Partnership, thank you everyone for watching, whether you're watching live or on demand. And please stay tuned for our next session at 3 o'clock, which will be with the National Center for Computer Science Education. See you in a few. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Bye.